when we have a label, it makes it so much easier to separate it from our lives and our responsibilities. My friend suffered from bipolar disorder. Shoin. Therefore, it somehow made sense to people. He was sick. He either didn't take his meds, or he took the wrong meds, or the doctors messed up. With my other friend, no one saw it coming. Sure, after the fact, you could recognize he looked down and he was stressed, overwhelmed, whatever else you could be blamed. But only after the fact. I went to check out this issue about Kate Spade. And I was reading the comments about her recent suicide. Comments, how it goes today. Everyone reads the comments online. She lived what we call a perfect life. And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable to what people were writing. They were convinced that in the beginning, there's no way she would have taken her life. After all, she had a great job. She was beautiful. She was moving up in the corporate ladder. She came from a loving and stable home. She had many friends. You name it. She had it going for her. Not only did people not want to believe she killed herself, they refused to believe she did it. But it seems that being perfect isn't so easy. And certainly, staying perfect is pretty impossible. So here's the thing. Healthy people do not kill themselves. Just like healthy people don't die of illness. But looking healthy and being healthy are two very different things. And just like we have an annual physical to make sure that nothing dangerous is lurking behind our fit and healthy body, so too, it's about time we did the same for our mental health. We keep saying that the stigma surrounding mental illness must be broken. But we have a long way to go. Like it or not, the reality is that the world is not ready to hear if we are suffering from psychiatric ailment. We're not posting on our Facebook status. We're not telling our coworkers. And we're often not even letting our close friends and loved ones know. And as long as it is a secret, it will keep killing. We keep saying that the stigma surrounding mental illness must be broken. But we have a long way to go. So when we are grieving the loss of one of our friends, trying to understand the incomprehensible is the hardest part. In the end, the conclusion is that this mental illness, though undiagnosed and unknown, was familiar to finding out like someone, God forbid, had a brain tumor. That's how we feel. Jewish law forbids taking of one's life. It's considered a grave sin. And yet, in many cases of suicide, Jewish law assumes that the suicide victim must have been severely ill, to the point that he or she cannot be held accountable. And I have this question all the time in terms of shiva, in terms of burial, and my friends, in recent times has become an issue that most of the Chabad rabbis on Long Island have to deal with. The understanding is that if these people were healthy, if they were cognizant of the gravity of what taking their lives would mean, they would never have willingly chosen to carry out this horrific act. In cases of impaired mental health, a suicide victim is exactly that, a victim of a terrible, horrible, devastating illness that needs to be addressed head-on, without embarrassment or reprisals or stigma. This is the only way we can kill this killer. If you don't think you know anyone suffering from a mental illness, think again. You do, we all do. There are people in our lives who are scared, anxious, depressed. They may even be suicidal. They might talk about it or be too scared to talk about it. But we need to make sure that we are offering support not only when it is needed, but even before it is needed. We need to make sure that we love, be there for people. We have to love those we know and that we are in contact with, without judgment. And it's okay to have these issues. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. The only thing not okay is when one refuses to do something about it. So, I look forward to the day when one can post as a Facebook status, feeling really depressed, and overwhelmed, does anyone know a good psychologist or psychiatrist I could see? The same way we don't hesitate to write, have a terrible sinus infection, does anybody know a good ENT? If you don't think you know anyone suffering from mental illness, I repeat, just think again. Mental illness is no one's fault. It's an illness like diabetes or anything else that we don't cause and we can't prevent. But the difference is that we can treat it, yet only if we're able to be open and honest enough to get that diagnosis and, of course, seek the support and the help necessary. It's time that we take a stand against mental illness. We can speak about it, educate ourselves, and educate others. Please, if you are suffering, reach out. Get help. Make an appointment. If you know someone who is suffering, please let them know that you care. Offer an ear and a hand, and help them to get professional help that they need. And if you don't think this applies to you, trust me, it does. Breaking the stigma won't take away mental illness, but it will take away the fear associated with helping, getting help, and addressing this issue. We generally don't really appreciate that which we have until it looks like there's a risk of losing it. When you're going through financial difficulties, that's when you learn the value of wealth. When sick or injured, that's when you learn to value your health. And you really appreciate the gift of family only after they're gone. You know, there's a special blessing to be said after surviving danger. One who has been sick or in some other dangerous situation will come to the synagogue and say a blessing of gratitude at the Torah. In temple times, they'd also bring a korban todah, a thanksgiving offering, to show appreciation to God for saving them from danger. We make this public affirmation of thanks because when you're nearly lost everything, you know how much you have to be grateful for, and you wish to openly show your appreciation to God for His gifts and miracles. Interestingly, when it comes to giving thanks, the person in temple times had to bring what was known as a korban todah, a thanksgiving sacrifice, and with it he would also bring 40 large loaves of bread to the temple, following which the meat and the bread would be taken home and eaten. And the Torah warns us that it should be eaten on that day, and nothing must be left over the next morning. Can you imagine? You got this meat. You got 40 loaves. Actually, it was 36 at the end. And there was no way that a single person, or even his extended family, could possibly consume such a large amount of food in such a short amount of time. So obviously, they'd have to invite their friends and neighbors over to join the meal. It is almost as if the Torah is forcing us to share your joys with the community. You sit together in company, rejoicing in God's blessings and recounting over and over the story of your escape from danger. However, more than just the way of publicizing your personal miracle, the act of inviting others over to share in your bounty demonstrates the Jewish attitude to gratitude. When you have been personally blessed, seek to share your blessings with others. So when we talk about mental illness or any other problems, and Baruch Hashem, you're doing all right, we have to say to ourselves, when was the last time I shared the blessings I have with others? The fact that another yahrzeit comes around of our loved ones, are we willing to make a kiddush in the synagogue? Or are we too cheap? How do we express and give thanks to God that we are mentally okay? And our wealth is a gift from God. The jackpot won in the great lottery of life, and it is our responsibility to make sure that everyone else is looked after as well. So if you enjoy good health, be thankful, and then actively seek to bring that comfort to other people who are waiting for their blessings as well. So let's sum this up. Judaism forbids euthanasia, physician-assisted suicides. Still, the patients who request it should generally be treated with respect and compassion. It is essential that those who work with patients who are considering or requesting physician-assisted suicides take the time to listen sincerely to their patients and to explore the reason for their request. Let me tell you, studies show that often simply listening to the patient's concerns helps to mitigate many of them. Whether you're a doctor, or whether you are working in hospitals or involved in the health community, or just being a friend to someone else, if they have someone to listen to, it makes a big difference. Then, one can non-judgmentally provide options for an appropriate, substantive intervention. Medical control of pain or other symptoms, a referral to the proper program, a mental health, social worker, chaplaincy, a palliative care consultation, trial of antidepressant medications when appropriate. There's many things out there which also have proven effective in enabling patients to change their minds about wanting a suicide, or just not even a patient, just somebody that you know. In particular, one should seek to address the patient's specific concerns and determine if there's a way to meet them, such as addressing the need for control without opting for physician-assisted suicide or their own taking of their own life. Hopefully, in this way, we're able to maintain our standards and do the right thing, at the same time expressing compassion, my friends, compassion, a non-judgmental attitude about those who are facing these many challenges. So, in conclusion, my friends, I want to tell you, encourage you, challenge you to make a big deal about the blessings that we have. Whatever it may be, whatever talent, whatever good blessings. It's nice to wake up in the morning and say, Maida'ani, and thank God for being alive, thinking about it and saying something. But when was the last time you did something to include your friends and your family or your community in giving thanks to the Almighty God for the blessings that you have, the blessings of good health, that your mind is working, that you can take some vacation, that your job allows you to take time out, and you don't have to work 6 days a week, or you have the strength to be able to say, I'm going to take off the Sabbath, and I'm going to give thanks to the Almighty God by coming and learning with others and eating with the family. So as much as we must take mental illness and these issues of suicide very, very seriously, the flip side, of course, is that if you're in the position with all the blessings that you have and you don't give thanks for that, what a waste of time. If a person's healthy and well in every area of his life, physically, spiritually, financially, when was the last time you shared it with somebody else? Because that's a true thanksgiving. That's a true recognition that you can, and perhaps you've been entrusted with all those blessings to be able to share with others. So, to be around for trouble, as I often say, very sadly, everybody seems to take off time. If somebody, God forbid, dies, they'll take off time during the weekdays to go to the funeral. But if they're invited to some appropriate celebration of life, it doesn't fit. I got to go to work. I got to do this. Why is it? Only sad things people are there for somebody else. But to take off time to make somebody else happy and to elevate someone, or take some time out to help someone in stress and go to work late because you were trying to help someone from stopping from suicide or some other horrible contemplations, that's when it really counts. So let us say thank you to Hashem for the health and the blessings and the ability to share ideas. And let's make a decision this week to share it with others, whether it's through an act of charity or reaching out to a friend who seems to be down and making a difference in their life. This is your host, Rabbi Pearl. Thank you so much. All the best. Good health.